Hey, excellent. Are we on the stream?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I was listening to you bullying your stream just before coming on,
Yeah,
so
that sounds about
yeah,
right.
I'm ready.
Oh my god, it's Sam. Yes, guys. I mean, hello. Like, you voice Sam, right?
Yeah, that's right. I voiced Sam.
Let's
Three voice
go!
characters.
You don't have to do the interview, and you don't have to do the interview with Sam, but I'm not gonna say no.
No, that's all right. I drift in and out of voices a lot of the time, so
I love this. This is
I'm sure
amazing.
it'll pop up here and again.
Oh my god. Okay. So, first of all, thank you for agreeing to do this interview with me when I asked you about it yesterday.
No, it's cool. You were one of the first people streaming the game, and I watched the stream. You're like my playtester, so
Yes!
it's a little payback.
Let's go! I love it. I seriously, like, it was such a... It felt like the game was made for me. I'm formerly a mental health nurse, current vampire, and
Awesome.
it kind of just like really aligned with like the things that I like to talk about and the things that I am knowledgeable about. And also it was like the art is great and it was really well written and very funny and like just a good time.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you had such a good time with it. I guess I'm one of the 3 funny men on the internet.
Yeah, you're included in that.
Awesome. All
Yeah.
right, cool.
Guys, there's only one spot left. You guys might have to rotate out. Like, I don't know.
Fantastic.
How's Cyrus, right?
Yeah.
How's Cyrus's volume, chat? It's true. She hasn't shut up about the game since she started. It's true. I can't. It's gonna be
that's wonderful.
It's gonna be my whole personality as soon as it comes out. Quieter than me.
Oh man, you got to meet the other characters. It's gonna be crazy. I'm especially excited for Dr. Drain's second session.
Oh.
It's I've wanted to spoil it for so long, and I only have about a month and a half left, and then it will finally come out.
Yes, I'm so excited. How's Cyrus's volume now, Chad? Also, Rod would like you to pronounce Senora.
Yeah, Signora, something like that, right? It takes a little practice. Senora, yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to just I took a peek at your. This interview is going to be all over the place. I really didn't plan this very well because I don't do planning. I do, but like not for me. But jam. Like just we're gonna go with it. I took a peek at your LinkedIn page, and I was looking through your work history, and I was like, how the hell did you get here? I hope you don't mind that I swear like a sailor. Also.
Oh no, please! I was gonna ask about that because I like to be able to use the full range of language. So
no, absolutely.
A little fucking here, a little shit there. Oh
yeah, necessary. No, you're good as long as everything is in the clear as long as you're not dropping racial slurs. Pretty much.
You got it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay, so you have a bachelor in history.
Yeah.
What did you study?
I studied history.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like what time period and what place? You smarty pants. Come on now.
Well, it was, I'm not used to talking about my education history because, you get to a point where no one really cares. But the history stuff actually turned out to be really handy for developing this game.
That's what I was wondering. Like, if there were parts of it that, like, were part of the inspiration of like the setting and like the characters that you picked for the game that you if you had any prior background before starting the game.
Yeah, totally. Like I was a big fan in college of reading like the older classics where of course I'm a man, I'm gonna read about the the Roman Emperor, the Roman Empire, yeah. But also I was looking at East Asian history and like how that developed and the general like study of history itself. Like one of my favorite books that I picked up in college was Herodotus, the histories. This is like the first recorded historian that has like real publications still out, and it was kind of like more of a storytelling type of history than anything that was meant to be serious. And that always fascinated me because, history can be a story, and typically it's a story told by the victors, but I wanted to get in and tell stories that are written by the actual characters in place, which is why, like, for Isabella, who you played in the game, I went in really deep on
Hmm.
her character, and that was a super super rewarding. I actually got to work with her chief historian, who translated 20,000 of her letters, all of which I
Oh,
read, and that was so cool to give me, like, the character that you see in the game. That is her character. Like, that is how she talked to, like, the great artists that we still, look at in the Louvre. And so now,
that is
that is what
wicked.
she is. Yeah.
Are you planning on like putting together like I not an art book, but like like some kind of like behind the scenes thing that like could be like a DLC that people could look through of like the research that you did for the game and like stuff like that? Because I feel like that would be fascinating.
Yeah, I probably will share some research. I don't know about like having a packaged thing, but I think over time I will share some of the resources that I have, and I'm going to link to there is an Isabella d'Este archive, for instance, that I've been working with.
Hmm.
It's called IDEA. I think it's at like idea.org.
Hmm.
And you can see all of her history, all of her letters, and I definitely want to share some of that behind the scenes stuff.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, really, people don't ask you about that kind of stuff. Like your
Strangely, not yet. I mean, I think it will come out once the game starts getting in people's hands.
Mhm.
Mostly, like, what people ask about is, I have other weird career history too. Like, I spent 10 years in Washington D.C. doing like political advocacy communications shit, and that taught me, like, working in D.C. and working with, like, people supporting, federal politics, taught me so much about the nature of insecurity, and it's
oh,
a direct line from that to this game.
I 100% believe that.
Yep, yep.
Absolutely. Oh my god. And then I'm seeing you did a lot of like some web dev stuff. You got
Yeah.
into marketing,
Mm-hmm.
then some narrative design,
Mm-hmm.
um, director of comms, and then you did a lot of writing work on some other games as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you did some voice acting in the midst of all
Yeah.
this too. How did you? How?
I It all starts with the voice acting. Like, this is what I always wanted to do. I mean, when
Okay,
I was 6 years old, my favorite toy was my tape recorder, and I blew through those things. I used them so much. I still have, like, I found at my parents' house like a book on tape that I had made when I was 7 years old. And I listened to it and I'm like, oh, it's actually not bad for like a little kid.
that's adorable.
But yeah, I always wanted to do this. And, like, where I grew up and, the culture that I grew up in, being an actor was not an acceptable thing, as it
Hmm.
is in, many
Most
cultures.
places, yep.
Um, yep. So it was really like I had an incident where I had I don't know, an ear infection, and I was losing my hearing. So I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this now. So I quit my DC job and moved to California to get into voiceover.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Big risk,
Yeah,
but
and clearly
and
it
it
paid
really,
off, and it.
yeah. Yeah, no, it paid off. They gave me, a few chances to do interesting things over there. So yeah, no, I'm glad I made the decision. It was really hard. I was working like 3 jobs in California,
Hmm.
and when the opportunity came to leave the country, that was another big switch, moving from voice acting more into writing. And it was around the time that Hades came out. I was actually recording that in Germany at night after I was done with my day job. So
Oh my
it was a
god.
busy time.
Oh yeah, tell chat who you voiced in Hades.
Yes, I played Ares, Dionysus, and Theseus in Hades.
What a resume.
Yeah, I've done a lot yeah, I've done a few things. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm
exhausting.
kind of a cool guy. I kind of like do a lot of stuff, and I'm in like really well renowned games, and like now I'm making my own, like whatever.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, it's all built up to this. Like I've put so much into this vampire therapist game. Like all of that history has gone into this game,
It
and
it
I'm glad it's
shows,
resonating.
and
Yeah.
I seriously, like, the stream that I did of the demo was like the best that I have felt about a piece of content that I have put out like in ages. So
Oh
like
wow, thank you.
to like be given the opportunity to talk to the person behind a lot of it is like huge. So like thank you again for agreeing to do the interview with me.
No, I'm honored if people enjoy the game and like if it's resonating with you. Like, I wanted to make a healing game, and something that's still funny. And if I'm succeeding in that, then I'm just really happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's amazing. That's all I'm looking for. And then I can go. I don't know what I'm gonna do after this. Well, probably I'm hoping the game will do well and I get to do a sequel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've already got it planned. Like it's written into the game.
Oh
So
my god.
yeah.
Okay, if you listen, if you have any East Asian characters and you
Uh-huh.
need to, I will train my ass off. I will do whatever you want me to do. I
Uh-huh.
would love to. I don't know how to get into doing VO, but I
Yeah,
would.
we actually do have an upcoming character, but yeah, and then there will be more in the sequel.
That's awesome.
The sequel will be a whole different location. Yes, and a whole different set of people.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, if it happens.
Yeah.
So
Wishlist the
wish
game.
list
Tell all
people.
your friends.
Please, please.
Um. Okay, so it seems like just like the inspiration for the game was just kind of like everything that you had done kind
Yeah.
of just led up to this, right? Like why before I get into like what happens in the game, uh talk me through your vampire lore. Do your vampires sweat?
Hmm.
Because I stopped what I was doing and like for 5 minutes googled around and was like,
Yeah.
and then it turned out that they were humans the whole time. Anyway.
Yeah, I've got my own take on the vampire stuff. I've tried to like couch it in I don't know, biological needs,
Yeah, yeah.
especially because of like Dr. Drain as a character. I
Uh-huh.
wanted him to think about like how does this actually work? So I my general rule is that if something requires circulation,
Hmm.
then it's going to be like harder for them to self-regulate. Like the
Right.
reason in my world why they drink blood rather than like why can't they just get a transfusion
Hmm.
is they need like freshly oxygenated blood to be
Okay.
running through their systems,
Yeah.
powering their organs. So no, they're not going to sweat naturally, and they're kind of, for me, they're cold-blooded,
Yeah.
because they're not generating their own heat. They
Right.
have to get it from other people.
Hmm. Okay. That's what I thought,
Yeah,
but I just
and they
wanted
don't poop.
to just wanted to make sure.
I haven't put it. I don't think there's any joke in the game around it, and I really wanted to make it a thing. But I wanted to say if they swallow something, like it doesn't get digested, it just comes out the other end. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't come up with a thing for that.
Yeah, like just like corn, but
Exactly.
everything.
Like everything is corn.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, they got to be careful about what they eat.
So basically they really don't eat, right? Do they can they
Yeah, yeah.
taste?
They can taste. Like I open up the idea that they can have tea, so they can have herbals. They can infuse their blood if they'd like to. It doesn't harm them to do it, but like for instance, if something is sweet, they really don't like it for the most part because similar to when you are really low on iron, iron will taste better to you. So for them it can be similar with like some foods or like if the blood that they drink is too sweet they don't like it.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, like with Americans and their overprocessed foods and such.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, there was something towards the end. I think it was like right at the end of the demo,
Hmm.
where I think the language that you used was you would be curing a narcissist, and I just
Uh-huh.
want to push back on that
Yeah.
because personality disorders are so vilified and they're
Hmm.
so stigmatized.
Hmm.
And I kind of feel like the idea of curing I don't know how I feel about like the language of that. Like,
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I've actually changed like the language on that last frame. Like, the idea like of being cured about anything in
yeah,
mental health is
kind
not
of,
really
yeah.
a thing generally.
Hmm.
This is referring to like the third character that you meet in the game, who is a former child actor,
Oh,
and
fun.
that messes you with you. That messes with you like a lot. So, this character does come through on the other side with a better sense of self,
That's
and
good.
I handle it like I wanted to make a character that did have these narcissistic tendencies, but I wanted to make them sympathetic. Like
Hmm.
show where it comes from and show, where they have room for growth, where they might be afraid and where they need support.
Hmm.
Because, I don't want anybody to play this game and feel like, they are attacked. Like there should be room to grow always.
For sure.
And just that it can be really hard to get to that place, especially with these kind of disorders.
Yeah. Are so you're hoping to do a sequel. Also, thank you for
Yeah.
touching on that. I appreciate it. And
No, you got
I
it.
figured that you would treat it with nuance given like the rest of the demo that I played. Like
Mm-hmm.
it the I was a little
Surprised.
uh I was cautious at first,
Yeah.
like when I like first heard about the game and first heard about the concept. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
is this really gonna go well? And then I
Yeah.
was like very pleasantly surprised
Mm-hmm.
with how it handled the different cognitive distortions, and I also really
Mm-hmm.
like the failure free flow of the game.
Yes.
I remember reading somewhere that you wanted that to be a really big part of it, which is why the
Mm-hmm.
game doesn't have like any branching narratives.
Yeah.
But I think it like for this it works really really well. Um,
Yeah, no, I thought it was really important. Like, you're gonna feel bad if people are not properly served. And beyond that, like the games that I played when I was growing up, I grew up with like, the point and click adventure games, like
Mhm.
the Monkey Islands and such. And the thing that I always liked about them is if there was a funny answer and you clicked it, you would not get punished for it. And that's what I want. I want a
Yeah.
fun game that has jokes, and I want people to like, just explore and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice to be able to like come into a game like this and not just enjoy the story and the world building and the characters, but also like maybe learn a little bit about the way that you think and like maybe
Yeah.
start to question like, oh, maybe that isn't like super great. Maybe I should like re-examine this and like where it comes from and why I think that way. And yeah, no, I
Yep.
just am like super impressed by the game and the writing. I really really like it. I think
Thank
this whole
you.
thing was just for me to like gush about how much I like the game.
No, that's cool. No, but I think that aspect of it is something that I actually hadn't predicted when I started making the game, and then it started, drifting more into the structure that it is now. And the thing that I found really rewarding, and I'm hearing too from players, is that I mean I've been in therapy a long time,
Mhm.
really long time. I've probably been in therapy for like, yeah, I've needed it. It's been a lot, but and I've heard all of these cognitive distortion terms before. And
Mhm.
I hear my therapist talking, and I agree. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's what I'm doing. But it is another thing to actually implement them
Yeah.
and be like, being taught to recognize them. And as I was writing it, I was finding like, recognizing these things more in myself because we all do it all the time.
Yep.
And now I'm just around the house and I'm like, oh, well, that's labeling. And I'm like, oh, it's control fallacy. And I'm like, oh, it's disqualifying the positive right there.
It's the way we're
Yeah.
socialized.
Oh, yeah. I mean, being a human is the most unnatural thing possible.
Yep.
Like, we do, we're if we were swinging in the trees, then none of this stuff would be bothering us. There would be some kind of natural order. But here we are on Twitch playing video games on Steam with our hands, and like, this is just unreal,
Yeah.
so we need coping strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I also am a longtime therapy goer. I am on like my 8th year, I think, of going to therapy, and I can't even remember how many different therapists I've been to. But like,
Yeah.
something that has been interesting for me is that CBT, the CBT approach never really worked for me. Like, when I was doing therapy before. I feel like CBT is really useful for people who like don't necessarily have a lot of like childhood trauma, because there's because I feel like it's like packing a wound without debriding it first. Like, if you're doing CBT on somebody who like has like like a really insecure sense of self, but where I am now, I'm finding that it's really helpful in reinforcing, like, catching those thought patterns and sort of figuring out how to change your perspective to reestablish those new neural connections so that you can start to stop thinking that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine this was going to come up. It comes up in a lot of these things. But my take on this is that CBT is one tool in a therapist's toolbox, and there are a lot of them, and they are usually best in conjunction, specified to a particular patient. When we talk about trauma, for instance, I got plenty of childhood trauma myself. Lots of fun. I've done the EMDR type stuff for that. I've done.
I have not done EMDR, and I want to.
Yeah, I think it's worth a try. It's kind of like it generates, well, for me at least, it generates a bit of out of body experience in terms of like your memories, where you look at yourself and you're like, well, that was me. It's not me right now.
Yeah.
But again, like, that's just one tool among many. What I find is good about the cognitive behavioral stuff is, like, it's not really, well, I'm going to be careful about how I talk about this, but I see it as more of an awareness modality more than a treatment modality. And like, that is huge. Like, being able to call yourself out and recognize things for what they are, not what you would like them to be, not what you feel they are. It's a really good starting point for addressing issues.
I think the issue that I have with it is it's become such a hot thing in I feel like in the last decade or so, people have been like, everything is so CBT focused. Like, when I was looking for therapists, I had to be really specific about, like, I don't want to work with somebody whose like main specialty is CBT, because it just was not working for me. And it took me a long time to realize that. And I don't even know how plausible it would be to like do a game similar, like in this similar vein, but like with a different modality. Like, what about like dialectal behavioral therapy? Like,
yeah, that was a big part of it. I mean, like, the research in CBT is extensive. It is an older modality that has had a lot written about it, and it is something that I felt could fit gameplay well. Like, if we're going into other types of therapy, like turning it into a game would be really, really hard, and I think it would need to be like pretty specific for each patient. And I wanted something that was like broadly applicable, and so I thought it was a good choice for this.
Yeah, no, I did for sure. It
Yeah.
really works well within the context of the game, and like sort of gamifying it to a point where it's like, still like it's realistic within like the game,
Hmm.
within the game and the world sense, but also you can still pull bits and pieces from it for like use in your real life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that application of it is again like the valuable thing that I was not foreseeing. And like seeing other people have the same responsibility or the same reaction, and like watching people look through the journal and like compare it to what they're reading, it was like that is a super cool thing. I mean,
Yeah,
there aren't many games that do things like this, and I feel pretty proud that we got it in a
you
place where it feels good.
absolutely 100% should. Like it is. I make it a point to like look for games that are like sort of like mental health, or that
Hmm.
have mental health aspects, or talk about mental health. And like this is the first game um that I've found that really explores these kinds of concepts in this way, and
Yeah.
also it's just like a really fun narrative, and
Hmm.
it's just like it's just a really good time.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's what I wanted, because like there are no shortage of games that do touch on mental health, but usually what you're getting is something pretty intense, and it tends to be a one-time experience because of that intensity. Like you
Yeah,
don't want to like play as somebody suffering
yeah,
for
yeah.
hours and hours on end.
And that's it's a hard balance, because it's like you want to tell these stories because they're important, but then also
Hmm.
like we don't want people's mental health narratives to all just be tragedy, because
Yeah, totally.
that's not what people can expect more and should expect more out of their lives than that.
Yeah, and healing narratives are not as prevalent because you don't get to do the crazy dark stuff. But hi poppers, the clatter of nails, what a beautiful sound. No, but yeah, I don't know, doing something funny, I think, like softens the edges. And this was also the reason that I chose to use historical characters, because yeah, they've had significant traumas. Like one of the characters who you haven't met yet, Medi, she's 1800 years old. She was
Right.
like a woman in Celtic Ireland, and that was a shit time.
Mm-hmm.
So the stuff that she goes through, like she makes light about it
Mm-hmm.
because it was 1800 years ago.
Yeah.
But if it happened now, it would be absolutely horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Time, karma plus time often equals comedy, and that's what I'm relying on with the historical characters when these wounds are not quite so fresh.
Mm-hmm. I based on the characters that I've met so far, I think you've done a good job balancing those things. And I don't know, I'm just really looking forward to the rest of the game.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for you to see it. I mean, the last two clients are, totally different. One of them coming up, I've showed him in screenshots already. His name is Edmund Kean.
Mm-hmm.
He is the first. He was a Shakespearean actor in the late 18th century who changed the way Shakespeare was performed. It used to be like a pantomime where it was very like, "Oh, kids, I'm the bad guy" kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the actor who made it more of an introspective kind of thing, and it
Ah.
really changed acting like single-handedly. And I'm like, this is the guy I'm gonna do, because like then his own history was crazy, like
Mm-hmm.
awful. Like he got into all these scandals, eventually became an alcoholic and died on stage,
Oh
of
God.
course. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm bringing this guy back
Oh
because
my God.
larger than life. Yeah, he's got to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's amazing. And then Medi is like, she was so much fun to write because I wanted somebody that he completely not just lost faith in humanity, but like has completely written it off in
Right.
a pleasant way, just fun.
Right.
And yeah, she's delightful. And her actor Sarah Grayson, who is she's in Hades 2 now. You probably heard her in Gone Home. She did a fantastic job. All the cast is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
I'm so honored to have these people working with me.
yeah. All I didn't expect the game to be fully voice acted. I went into it thinking that I was gonna
Yeah.
be like, I was like, how the hell am I gonna affect my voice to a low enough register to play like three different men? I don't know,
Right.
but no, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was always the first thing. Like I said, like I always wanted to get into voice acting. So when I started writing this, it was not only like finding fun historical characters, but thinking like what are the sorts of characters that are fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody who is in this thing can really stretch their comedic chops and go for it. Yeah, like Isabella's actress, I have known for a really long time, and her I've always known her comic timing is just impeccable. So
Mm-hmm.
bringing her into play Isabella and like watching her nail it, because like I knew like it was the kind of character that I wrote to her strengths to
Yeah,
be able to like bring this funny element out. And yeah, she nailed that. And it was like important for me that coming from a voice acting background, of course I'm gonna get the entire thing voiced. Like I have to do
yeah, yeah. That makes
it.
sense. Um, are there any games in particular that were uh sort of inspirational for your game? If there's anything you can think of
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, in
in
terms of
terms
the
of anything.
humor, yeah, in terms of the humor, like, Curse of Monkey Island was a big one for me
Mm-hmm.
growing up because, like, not only is like the humor really nice, really heartfelt, but I think it was one of the first games that really upped that vocal quality. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was so well cast, and that was important to me. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
have that done right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of other games, I'm not like I do definitely come from like the point and click adventure game tradition where like it is about humor and cinematic quality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I had like any like thematic draws for the most part. Like I got more from like um other types of media, like What We Do in the Shadows, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and Horrible Histories. But it's this British series
Oh,
that's all historical sketch comedy. If you have Hulu, you can watch it on there in America,
okay.
but it is fucking hilarious. It is so good. Like that team is not only like teaching history, but they're doing it in a very silly, fun way. So that was actually a pretty big influence on the game.
And I find, and I think that this is like getting to be common knowledge now, but like people remember narratives. Like it's just
Hmm.
easier to retain information when there's when it's something to care about, when there's like
Yeah.
a through line.
Hmm.
Um, which is why I think what the game does is so, even though they're historical characters and they're things that are like, the issues sound exaggerated because also they're
Hmm.
vampires and also
Right.
they're like ancient. It's easy for people to project themselves onto, um you know, or pick out and find certain situations or aspects of the character's personality where like, oh, maybe I'm like that a little bit, maybe I
Hmm.
need to, you know, stop and think about and re-examine like this character is. And I think it's gonna be really great because there are a lot of like mental health advocate creators out there, and I think that this game is going to be a really great avenue for them to speak on like their own experiences with mental health
Hmm.
and um you know, bridge that gap for, you know, their communities as well, for like, you know, people, maybe not even people who don't recognize some of these like harmful thought patterns, and just
Hmm.
give them a space to talk about these things while still also being a game and still also being really entertaining and really funny and relatable.
Yeah, that was a goal all along, and why I would use vampires rather than like werewolves or mummies or
Mm-hmm.
ghosts. Even the idea is that vampires are still human,
People, yeah.
and not only that, but like the issues that they had 1800 years ago or 3000 years ago, they are exactly the same as what we have right now. I mean, it goes down to the neuropsychology of it, like
Yeah.
fear response, and when you're flooded with cortisol, when you're afraid, like this stuff is like, engineered around keeping us safe from a lion attacking us.
Yeah.
But now these same hormones are triggered when we go in to meet our boss, and he says, "Oh, you didn't do a good job today." And
Yep.
like it's like a lion is going to eat us. So like there's lines that I think Andy and Crimson both refer to, like this idea of common mortality or common nocturnality. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you've gone through, whatever pain, like you are definitely not alone. Like this has definitely happened in the past, and recognizing that is a really good start to saying like, okay, well, maybe this is something tackleable. Other people have gone through this.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And I think that that's something that mental illness is so good at doing, is making you feel isolated and making you feel alone. It's so fucking good at it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think this is another resource for people, for like something for people to gather around, and to something that will generate discussion, and something that will connect people and bring them together. And it just, like, I love this game. I love this concept. I love that you're awesome. Doing this. I'm like, thank you so much. Like, it's so cool.
No, it's a delight, and I really do want to share that message that if you live in this world, you need therapy, like mental I don't know, mental issues. That is the norm. Yeah. If you are the sort of person that thinks all this shit going on around is normal and I'm fine with it, you are more fucked than the people who are suffering by it. Like an Elon Musk you think he's normal?
You just don't even know how fucked you are, really.
Exactly. That's really what it is. Like, you have created an effective reality distortion field. That's all you've done. Because this is not normal.
You have put yourself in a tiny little box to protect yourself from the world.
Yep.
But you don't realize maybe how badly you are hampering yourself by curling up into this box.
Yeah. And like making sure that you have no pathway to self-acceptance, because you will never have a true sense of self.
Yeah. It's so fucking prevalent. I find, I'm sure it is everywhere else as well, but like, especially in the content creation space. People are running away from everything. They are just like, on to the next thing, next project, gotta do this, gotta do that, because they are running away from whatever it is they aren't facing.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I'm like, guys, this doesn't work. Like, and it's, the longer you put it off, the worse it's gonna be. And I hate that that it is a privilege to be able to access mental health care. Like, it's a fucking travesty.
Completely. I know.
That therapy is so awful. Expensive, that therapy is not accessible. It just, I
know. And when it is acceptable, it's shitty.
Yeah.
Or accessible, then it's shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is rough. I mean, it is part of our normal health, and we should view it the same way we view
going to the dentist.
Our physical health. Totally. If they want us to be, stimulating the economy, we at least have to like be able to get out of bed,
No, but they don't want us to get out of bed though. We're under their capitalist thumb. This is exactly how they want us to be. They want us to be worker drones that don't think for ourselves, so that they can just put us in the machine, grind us up. They don't care.
But then we're not going to be able to afford all these fucking services, We got to be able to make money so that we can afford to give it all.
Yeah, but then they'll just have more poor people have more babies, and just
meat for the grinder. Yeah,
it is. We're all just meat for the grinder.
Yep.
Oh,
no, I am completely aligned. I mean, that was. Yeah, this is really why I wanted to do the game. Like, it's also about recognizing our own value and our own, like, our individual strength, going along with some guideline of what society says you should be. doesn't fucking matter because you're always going to be yourself and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. So might as well be the best version of that you can be, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder, like, I don't know if this is something that you've thought about. I'm sure it is, but like, how would you go about like trying to introduce these mental health or mental wellness and like
Hmm.
better communication concepts into like school? Like like
Yeah.
where would you even like I've done this thought experiment before with people, and
Hmm.
I'm just like I don't even know how you would begin, because
Hmm.
we can't even get proper like sex education
Hmm.
to kids, because we would need people to, I think people forget that communication is a fucking skill.
Hmm. Absolutely.
People go to school for communication. Like
Yeah.
it's a thing that it's a skill that has to be taught, and communication is not just talking. So much of communication is listening.
Yep. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know what it will. I don't know what it would take. Like for me, doing this game is my little part. You know, I used to work in politics, and I would work for the good guys, but you know, the Nazi across the street was working just as hard, and he didn't have
Yeah.
any rules. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, this is a little something that I can do. I think that entertainment is really important for this kind of thing. Just
It
because, like, you know, there are standards, but we can break them, and we can lie a little bit about what reality is to make it better.
mhm.
You know, I think that's a something magical that can exist in entertainment.
Yeah. And I think despite all the, protests from quote unquote gamers of oh, everything's woke now, media has always been the most woke thing. Media is
Yes.
the thing, like, that's the outlet with which people speak for
Yeah. Do you
change.
want
Like,
creative
hello?
material or not? If you don't want creative material, turn the fucking TV off and you know,
Exactly.
just read the Bible again. But you know what? Do yourself a favor, actually read it. You know, maybe try to understand it
Yeah,
rather than just repeating
don't
lines.
just cherry pick the things that people say and then use them hatefully.
Yeah, exactly. You know, fucking read something. My God.
Read a book, touch grass, like.
Yep.
But I really do like that idea of you recognized that running in the rat race of politics and trying to affect change in that way was just not right for you anymore, and that this
Yeah.
is something that is achievable, that you are doing, and that you are doing well, in my opinion, that will, it at least at the very least has already made a difference to me.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I know that that wasn't for me. I had friends who were better at it, and they became lawyers. Like I used to work with the chairwoman of the FTC, Lena Khan, who is a total badass.
Hell yeah.
And oh man, she's the only person that's like really pushing back against the great evil corporations, and you know they've taken away so much funding that she could only do so much. But she's incredible. But that's her thing. Like I'm too fiery. I don't want to negotiate. I'm like you. I want to burn it all down.
Yeah, I can't that's I feel like that's part of the reason I also had to get out of nursing. Like, I
Yeah.
am not good at playing politics with people.
Yeah.
I just am too impatient, and I want results. And I don't like it when people try to look the other way. And so my way of, trying to help people with their mental health has changed significantly
Hmm.
from, like, a much smaller net, but it was like a lot deeper because I was working one on one with like inpatient people,
Uh-huh.
to like now I get to spread awareness through like gaming, which I'm also passionate about, and
Right.
like it's so cool.
Yeah, you do what you do best. I mean, no one else is going to be able to do what you do best.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah. And it's learning to like learning and understanding that like not everything in life has to be about economic value has been
Right.
huge.
Yeah, yeah. That's a tough one.
Yep.
That's a really tough
Yep.
one.
Well, especially be like you need money to live, unfortunately.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times I wonder how many people have this thought experiment with their friends where they're like, well, I'll just live on a commune and we'll have a big community kitchen and then we'll all just like have a farm and like we just never speak to anyone again, but also have good internet.
Yeah, I have you ever played the Deus Ex, the first one from the late 90s?
No, but I'm aware of it.
It's really good. It's one of these, techno dystopia kind of games. And at the end, like, there's this was like early for its time because this was like 90 or like no, it was probably like 2001. But there was this big interconnected web that kept everything going. The entire world economy was based on it, but it was being run by this dark, shadowy cabal of evil people. And in the end, you have a choice, and you can either choose to like take over the system and make it work properly. You can give it to like a benevolent AI that will keep things running properly, or you can destroy it. And when you destroy it, the world will all like be set back a few hundred years. We'll have like more close-knit communities. We won't have this global world. And I chose that result every fucking time.
Hell
that's
yeah.
the right answer.
But like honestly, it's got to be a balance, because clearly this goes back for me to the idea of like filial piety and like group consciousness, and like the it's very like the very much a very Eastern Asian way of thinking, where it's like they go too hard on that though, because then it becomes codependent, because they don't communicate what they want. They expect people to just understand and read between the lines when those things are not taught, which then turns into generational trauma, which then just continues the cycle. But their idea of community and like that the whole matters is such a stark contrast to Western ideals. And my pet theory is that they individualize everything over here so much so that we turn away and don't blame the corporations, who are actually the entire reason that the world is burning and everything shit is happening, so that we blame ourselves so that we don't have a fucking revolt.
This turned into a fun chat. I didn't know it was going to go here, but I'm down. No, I'm half Middle Eastern, so like I grew up in a shame culture as well, and that was something that for this game I really wanted to get into, like this whole idea of like generational guilt, generational shame. What it does for us, because like this ties back into the cognitive behavioral aspect. Is like reality is what it is. It doesn't matter what the community says you should be or what you're ashamed of or whatever. Like things are going to be, as Sam said a few times, things are going to be what they're going to be, and there's not a damn thing we can do about it. So, and the sooner we accept it, the sooner we can make a better world for ourselves.
Yep. It's so true.
Yeah. That was my own personal journey is in this thing too. I'm acting. I'm making video games. This is not a thing that is in
Mm-hmm.
my upbringing. But I'm fucking doing it. I gotta do it. This is what I'm good at.
Yeah. I am. I don't know. I'm in awe. It's just so cool. I'm so glad that somebody's doing this.
No, I'm glad. It's been a hard road, and I've put a lot of work into this thing. Like, this is a monster of a script.
Yeah, I believe that.
Much longer than like I used to watch people play on stream for like 3.5 hours, and I had put out a demo to the press a bit earlier, and I had only included Dr. Drain, and they were like, "Oh, this was really short." And then I added Isabella, and like all of a sudden, like people are playing for 3.5 hours. I'm like, what does that mean? The full game is like 25 times longer than that.
Oh, that's a good chunky game. I'm excited.
Well, that's the time it took, because all of the characters have their journey, they have their arcs, and it needed that amount of time to get from point A to point B. Like, therapy is not easy. Already, it's highly fictionalized. Like, nobody's going to make this amount of progress
in this
the
small amount of time
that I have in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, but so this is the minimum that I could do.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's all happy endings. So, mostly happy endings. I mean, no, it's all happy endings. All progress is a happy ending, as far as I'm concerned.
I respect that. Because, I don't like the platitude that people are always, it's going to get better. Sometimes it's not going to get better. That's okay. Yeah. Like, sometimes it's going to be the same. And it's about adjusting your expectations and recognizing your limitations within what you're able to do and being okay with that. Like, what we are expected to do, what society expects us to do with this productivity grind and all this is fucking outrageous. It's not realistic. It's you're not just burning the candle from both ends. You've set the entire candle and house on fire. Like, it's not sustainable. And I'm still learning to get out of this, but like, it very much for me came from like operating from a place of fear. And
you live in America, right? I mean, that's
I live in Canada, so basically, I'm America light.
Yeah. Right.
But just operating from a place of fear is no way to. It's not living. You're existing, barely.
Yeah. No, you're in this high cortisol state at all times, where like that lion is always chasing you, and that is absolutely exhausting.
Yeah.
And there are inarguable elements of that. They say often in therapy, the body keeps the score, and at some point it says no.
Yeah.
That's what I was just talking about with my therapist. I was just in therapy before joining this. We were talking about like the shit I need to do to get the game done, and I'm like, but also the body keeps the score. If I cannot get some fucking sleep, I'm not going to be able to finish this game.
Yeah. It's I don't know how we got to this point where we've so separated our minds and our bodies, like they're two separate entities. Like, they're so connected, and like it's really wild to me how like cut off I was from my own bodily sensations. Like I dissociated so much.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And like, I understand why people run away from it, because it's scary, because it's foreign to like be in your own body. That's fucking weird. Yeah. It's your body. You're in it all the time. What?
Yeah. Yeah. This is why also, like, if you've seen the latest Vampire Therapist trailer, I wanted to put in mindfulness meditation as a gameplay element, because it is about, being in touch with your breath, like with the physical. Like, you have to breathe in order to just acknowledge thoughts, and it's something that I struggle with plenty. Like, I'm a really shitty meditator, because like I've got so much stuff going on. It's hard for me to like turn off for those few moments and get in touch with my body. I've tried the apps and everything, and I'm so judgmental about like the narration in these things, and I'm like, well, I want them to be really good because I'm a voice actor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I I find that I don't like those I don't like those guided meditation things. I find
Yeah.
like taking a walk and like focusing
Yep.
on like more I guess I use more grounding techniques than I do like
Yeah.
meditative ones because I find that those
Hmm.
actually work for me. Because yeah, the guided meditation things just I don't know, I don't jive with them, and I don't know if it's the quality
Yeah.
of the voice work or just like that, if it's like an ADHD thing where it just doesn't connect with my brain. But I'm glad
Yeah.
that you put those in as
No,
well because
I
they're so important.
totally. And like I agree, like you from playing the demo, you see there's actually plenty of talk about walking and
Yes.
what it does for you.
Yeah.
Like this was the reason why I made, well, there's two reasons why I made Sam a cowboy. One of them is because it's just, down to earth, salt of the earth fella that is
Yep.
like, just got to be kind of fun and really great for a tutorial kind of
Mm-hmm.
character.
Mm-hmm.
The other is based in 19th century transcendentalism, like this community of people that were really focused on not what things, what the church says things should be or what Washington says they should be, but what they actually are, the
Mm-hmm.
study of humanity, of nature, and living harmoniously with nature. Like this was a big movement
Mm-hmm.
in the 19th century, and where like, there was actually a lot of social development within these communities. Like do you remember the Oneida Silverware Company?
Nope.
Okay, well, this was like, it was the biggest silverware company in the United States, I
Okay.
think, for the longest time. And it was led by a woman in, like the mid 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge company. Like, this was not a thing that happened at the time
Right.
because, like, these communities were structured entirely differently. And they focused again on things like walking. If you
Mm-hmm.
read Henry David Thoreau or uh, the ones whose names I'm forgetting right now because I have not been sleeping.
Oh no.
But yeah, I know I'm turning into Dr. Drain like more day after day. But yeah, this walking element I refer to a lot in the game, and you'll have plenty of opportunities to reflect on it in your coffin between sessions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's all I have for you. Really,
Cool.
is there anything else that you want to let people know about you, about the game? Um,
I think just wish list the game, please. Just give me a wish list, and I'll be happy.
it's free,
share it
chat.
with
It's
people.
free to wishlist a game. It's in the
Totally.
pinned message. Go and wishlist it, or you're banned
Well, and try the
forever.
demo. Try the demo. Like I think it's something that everyone will get something out of. And also when you play it, I will say to anybody trying it, especially if you've seen it on stream already and you think you've seen it, just select some wrong answers for fun. Just see what happens. Because there's no
Can't fail.
lose states in the game. Yeah. So just have fun. You can say anything you want to. You will never get punished for it. It's just a fun time. So, I highly recommend you try out the demo and, give me a little mercy with the bugs because I'm one developer and this has been a bit of a bear.
There are
and,
bugs?
and stuff will be fixed. Yeah, there are some bugs. Like, I don't know, right now there's like an inconsistent save game bug where like if you're saving later and then you load, it has to do with the journal, which is a mess. And then like
Oh.
some things having to do with like some sounds are too loud. They're not going through the right mixer, so
Okay. I
it,
mean,
it's just this tough shit.
for the most part, like whenever I play game demos, I typically break them. I don't
Yeah,
think I broke Vampire Therapist, so I think
that's
at
great.
least for me, you're in the clear.
Awesome. Yeah, and there's other stuff with like controllers. Like I got to support all of them. More people play these games with controllers than I thought. Like I never touch a controller unless like I'm attempting to fail at a Souls-like game because like I've never gotten anywhere with them.
Yeah, this isn't a game I guess I would play on controller, but I guess it would make for a really good like Steam Deck thing because like if you're going
Totally.
on a car trip or something, this would be like
Yeah.
super. Yeah.
It does play on the Steam Deck. It runs there natively, so you can just download it and play to your heart's content. I even have Mac support, which was no easy feat because
Oh.
you have to bow down to Tim Cook and all the security shit that you have to do to get
Ugh.
on there. But yeah, I figure,
Try
it may
to
have its audience.
reach as wide an audience as you can. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, try the demo. Please wishlist. If you like it, tell your friends. Join the Discord community. It's very small right now, so you can be a big fish in a little pond. Like, people are talking about vampire stuff there, like their favorite vampires, and people are talking about having fan art there soon, which I'm really excited about. Yeah, just play the game, and if you like it, and I think you will, give it a buy when it comes out on July 18th.
Hell yeah, absolutely. I finished this like an hour before the stream. This is my fan art for the game. This is my self insert.
That's awesome. I love the self insert shit. Is my favorite.
Yes,
that's my absolute favorite.
Thank you so much for coming and talking with me. This has been, what a good time.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I'm so excited for the game to come out, and I'm probably gonna buy it for some of my friends who maybe wouldn't have otherwise played it.
Well, it's only $15, so
oh hell yeah, that's a steal, dude.
I know it is, but I think that's the maximum I can charge, given style, genre, and all that stuff.
Do you have like a Ko-fi page or something?
I do not. I could make such a thing.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah. Like sometimes people are. They don't have they don't have people to send extra copies to, so they want to support. I would make like a tipping page somewhere if you can.
I'll do that. Thank you. I'll do that. Yeah, I could use the boost.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, this has been delightful. I'm looking forward to seeing you play the full game when it comes out. And everyone else, thank you for tuning in.
I hope you get some sleep.
Thank you very much. Soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.
Have a lovely evening. Ta-ta. Bye-bye.
Bye. What a delight. What an absolute delight. I don't really have anything else. I didn't really have a plan for... I think that was it. Honestly. Big fan. I know, me too. It was so good.